Hello, this is Erin with the Joy in Pens and Paper, and it is time to plan out the inks that I am interested in using in the month of March and to get your input on of these 15 inks, which 5 would you choose? I have really been enjoying opening up this discussion to my viewers and getting their input and feedback. And I am a behavior analyst. I love taking data and evaluating it and looking at which inks are most highly preferred and the different combinations. As well, I have had some viewers take me up on this, but if you are aware of pens that I have in my collection and you want to also include what pen you might pair an ink with, please feel free to share that because I love that information as well. So I do have 15 inks right over to the side here. It's a combination of bottles and samples, obviously, and I'll be swatching them out using a Kakimori brass nib dip pen. I have a couple of jars of water to rinse. I have a white t-shirt right here to dry off with, and I am swatching in the Hobonichi A5 plain Tomoe River paper that I got in my order for 2025. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to get to swatching. I'm just going to turn this a little bit because that's where I'm a little more comfortable. The first ink that I have, and it is March. I do associate the color green with March, so I do have a lot of greens and then some earth tones. Shocker. So Antique Sepia is the first ink that I'm going to swatch. This is one of my larger Birmingham Pen Company bottles. So this one goes down green, and then when it dries, there's some chromo shading pink that comes through. I did a rowing workout this morning, and my forearms are very sore. So I have a little bit of shakiness in my writing. Next up is a relatively newer ink to my collection. It's Birmingham Pen Company Megalodon. And this is the original one that I received. If you are a consistent or frequent viewer, you may have seen I did a swatching video where I was unsure that this was the color that was advertised online. And so I sent a picture to Birmingham Pen Company and they sent me a replacement. They are pretty similar, but this is the first one. There will be no ink wasted. Next up is Van Diemen's ink Laughing Kookaburra Crest, and I believe I swatched this last month as well. I am close to, or getting close to done on the pen that is inked up with a gray ink. So this is a contender for that replacement. Or this could also be the black. Laughing Kookaburra Crest. This is quite the long name. All right, and next up is a shimmer ink. This has a chameleon shimmer. So it's a little pink, a little green, depending on the angle that you are seeing it. This is from the 2024 Diamine Inkvent calendar. It's called Wishing Tree. I have 2 water cups. I'm going to use one for shimmer inks and one for non-shimmer inks. Next up is Van Diemen's Honey Bee Eater Wing. Now this ink vial has a little bit of a story to it. I received this ink in an Inkflight sample, Inkflight subscription box. It was a sample, and I inked it up in my Laban Rosa when I first got it because I thought it was a great pairing. It was. However, the initial converter that came with my Laban was defective, and I sent it back to Goldspot. They replaced the converter, sent it back, and through that process, I ended up, in my opinion, wasting a lot of that ink because the defect was the pen was burping and would lose a bunch of ink at once. So I had commented in a video that I wish I had more of that ink to really explore it. And a viewer sent me this sample. Yes. So this is from the Birds of a Feather series by Van Diemen's. And so they have multiple inks for each bird that cover different parts of the bird. So for example, you've got the crest. This is also part of that series. The wing. There's a bunch of other parts, but all right. And then next is another sample that I got from the Ink Journal Inkflight. This is Ferris Wheel Press, Central Park Greens. Now, when I first mapped out my inks, I had wanted to do Ferris Wheel Press Peter Moss, but I no longer have that in my collection. So this was a lovely backup. I'm just going to put FWP for Ferris Wheel Press. Central Park Greens. Yes. And then next up, this one I didn't have in the original list that I put together, which the moment that I finished the list just about, because I went through and selected 15 inks, I had this wave of, oh my gosh, what did I do? What was I thinking? Because this should have been the first on the list. I'm so surprised. But again, I had a few inks that were in my swatch book that are no longer in my collection, which is why I'm in the process of redoing my swatch book, or my swatch catalog, I guess you could say. But I love this color, and this is one that, without me saying anything, my husband picked out for me and got me a bottle. He ended up tucking it on, we have in our kitchen, there's this little phone countertop shelf that I am a sucker for really unique built-ins, and so it was in the house from the original build, and we kept it when we did a kitchen renovation I just rinsed that in the wrong water. Oh well. Yeah, so when we did a kitchen renovation, we kept it and put a new countertop on it. So in the little like cubby shelf unit, he had tucked this when it came in the mail, and just I happened to be looking for something and found it, and of course commented on it. And he was a little sad that the surprise was up, but I was still surprised. And if you watched my last new pen day video, you know I don't like surprises. Or I don't like, let me say that differently. I don't like being teased with surprises. I hate being teased with surprises. If you're going to tell me you got something, just tell me what it is. Or just don't tell me and let it be a surprise. So this is a collaboration with Endless Pens, and this is another sample that was shared with me from a viewer. I love that color green. So you can see this top here, the Birmingham Pen Company Antique Sepia. See how it's gone pink? And then there's a little bit of the green popping through. And I love that experience of having it bright green initially and then being able to go back later and see that it has changed. I am again bringing forward Van Diemen's. This is their Seasons collection. This is one of the summer inks called Tiger Snake. I am likely going to be choosing this month just because I have been swatching this multiple times as a contender. So I think this is the month to use it. I originally paired this when I had a sample with the Pelikan M400, the white tortoiseshell, and I thought, I think this is a great pairing with that pen, and it wrote beautifully. So I am definitely looking forward to inking that up again. And I love how in the cap it's got this kind of pinky green color. Put that back in the box. And I'll swirl. I'll put that back in the box. Where I do my filming is such a mess. My hope is to clean it this week. But in the meantime, I'm going to put things back as I use them. Okay, next up is a little sample. And I love this little glass bottle from Fountain Pen Insanity. It's Diatramentis Green Tomato. And this is just big enough for the Kakimori nib to go in. Look at that beautiful green. And it's well lubricated. It is trash day for my neighborhood, so we just had the trash truck come on through. We put out the bed frame. We decided that we were going to kick it old school, and what I mean by that is when my husband and I had our first apartment, we had this really nice kind of curvy narrow staircase. And again, this apartment was full of built-ins and really rustic old touches. For example, one side of the apartment was heated by a part of the stove that was meant to be a heater. And that just was a really unique feature of the apartment. Also, during the winter, that part of the apartment was frigid cold, and that's where the bathroom was, because we didn't leave that heater on all night. But when we lived in that apartment, we couldn't get the box spring up the staircase. So we slept on a mattress on the floor for 3 years. And then when we got our first house, we felt like big kids bringing in a box spring and a bed frame. And then when we moved into our current home, we had a few days where we slept on the mattress on top of the box spring, which was on the floor, before we could set up our bed frame. And we both commented how much we missed sleeping so close to the floor. So we just did a little bedroom refresh where we painted the bedroom and decided that we were going to remove the bed frame and go back to sleeping on the mattress on the box spring on the floor. And my goodness, I love it. He loves it. It has been absolutely great. So, so now we have fresh paint. We've got a little different configuration of our bedroom. And I ordered some bedding, actually just a little bit ago, to give a little matching refresh to the new colors of the wall. We went for a kind of a, sagey teal accent wall, and then a light green for the other 3 walls. So just feels very fancy. All right, this is another, and I don't even know if I talked about this ink, but Diamine Pine Needle. It's another one from the 2024 Diamine Inkvent calendar box. This is another Inkvent calendar, or Inkvent ink. So this is Diamine Nutmeg. And this is the one so far that kind of doesn't belong, so to speak. However, I think it goes really nicely with Wishing Tree, with the Birmingham Pen Company inks. And I kind of just want to use this one. It's pretty. Okay, and next up is another sample from Fountain Pen Insanity, Birmingham Summer Sweet. Let me just make sure that that's in frame. Summer Sweet. All right, next up is Robert Oster, River of Fire. This is another ink that was gifted to me by my husband. He has really unique ink tastes compared to me, because I'm so neutral, and I will certainly call myself boring. Give me the grays, give me the neutrals, give me the murky muddies, and his choices tend to be a little bit more poppy. Although that one was right in line, so. Beautiful. And then the last ink to round this out is Sailor Manyo Shirakashi. This is the ink that came with the Sailor Pro Gear Slim or Sailor Manyo Nuts Pro Gear Slim. And if this ink makes it into March, I am just going to be very transparent. It will be paired with that pen because that's the pen it belongs with. Beautiful. All right, so here are my potential candidates for March of 2025. And it's a little range of the earthy tones, like I stated, and some medium to dark to yellowish to bluish greens. And I love the variation here in inks. I like the little pops of shimmer as well, and some sheening. The River Fire has a red sheen. Shirakashi, when that dries down, will have a sheen to it. I love the complexity of some of the colors, specifically the Birmingham Pen Company colors. Megalodon and Antique Sepia have really nice chromo shading properties. There's just so much about this that I love. One of my upcoming videos that you will see will be my pen and ink review for February. This is how I have it set up. So I will be filling out this side of the page. I can't recall if I set this up. Oh, I think this is what I did for my February swatch video. It was just a little bit of a variation in the setup because I spaced it in order to be able to do the review here. I just think it's going to be nice to be able to flip through and see what I considered and what I actually used and how that experience went. I'm also going to think about in this next pen and ink review if I have recommendations for what to pair that ink with next, so I can look back and learn from that, because I think that that's an important component, where I do have some very, very, very fine pens, and then I have some, or I guess extra fine pens, and new to my collection and extra, extra fine. And then I also have some wet writing, extra fine and fine nibs, and then a few mediums, and one stub and a flex. So thinking about those pens in my collection and what I tend to gravitate towards, seeing if there's a specific nib or pen combination that I would recommend for the future. Anyway, I'm saying the same thing multiple times, so I'm going to stop here. If you made it to the end, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate the time that you've given, and I hope you have a wonderfully productive rest of your day. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye.